Now, schools at Akyem in the eastern region have been closed down following violent chieftaincy clashes in the area. There were gunshots heard throughout the town in the early hours of Monday, with Irish youth going on rampage, destroying several properties and fighting with opponents following the installation of a rival chief in the area. Residents believe this latest clash has political undertones, with the national security operative at the Flagstaff House accused of an instigator. They also accused the police of being complicit in the affair, saying it took the service too long to respond to the violence in the town.
They really beat me. I didn't do anything. They tore up all the wires. I told them the information system is not for the community. If Amwetia is behind this lawlessness, they should be careful. If Akufo-Addo doesn't intervene, we will not vote for him again. We will not allow any small boys to install a chief for us in this community. The people in this town are all NPP supporters. Those behind the violence are NDC supporters. If the president cannot intervene and stop the violence, we will also retaliate. The police from Chebi should come here. If they don't come, we will also arm ourselves and fight.
Next time our boys now
Well, the police have since dispatched reinforcement to the area, but they have also clarified that they are not supporting any of the factions there. ASP Ebenezer Tete, who is a public relations officer of the Eastern Region Police Command, also asked aggrieved residents to channel their complaints to the right quarters.
Now, we have dispatched some team of police officers from the regional police headquarters who are still on the ground, and everything seems to be very calm on the ground.
Early reports that we received from some sources suggested that there was some tension of sort. Has any of that sort come to your attention or otherwise?
Yes, we have also received similar information, but I can tell you that our men are on the ground and they are monitoring the situation constantly. We have not had any occasion of the breach of the peace area, and we are also appealing to the parties who are involved that the best way for them to resolve their problem, if the factions and there are competing interests, is to go to the appropriate quarters, and they know where to go to have their grievances resolved. The chieftaincy I'm talking about the House of Chiefs and then the court. So that's the advice we are giving to them. We are not there to support any of the sides. Neither are we there to provide installation of a chief from the other side or one side. If anybody attempts to cause the breach of peace or anybody is caught doing anything that will jeopardize the peace in the area, they will not hesitate to effect arrest. So as we speak now, they are doing the patrols. They are constantly monitoring the situation. As and when there's a need for any arrest we made, we are going to do so.
Well, Eastern Region correspondent Maxwell Kudoko joins us live on the line right now with an update on the situation. Now, Maxwell, before you bring us this update, can you give us a brief background to this whole chieftaincy affair? We're told that one chief was installed today, but there has been a rival chief was installed some weeks ago. Can you bring us up to speed with all that?
Well, Israel, about 4 years ago, the chief of Akyem died. He joined our ancestors. And after his burial, there was an installation of a chief called Osaberima Opoku Nyampon, Opoku Menya, Osaberima Opoku Menya. After his installation, there were a series of publications in the dailies trying to indicate or tell the world that he is not the proper chief of the area. So the elders of Akyem Apapem and kingmakers who did the installation petitioned the Judicial Committee of the Akyem Abuaka Traditional Council, trying to defend the installation of Osaberima Opoku Menya. So the matter has been before the Judicial Committee for over 2 years. So last Wednesday, the committee ruled that the installation was not properly done, so they should install a new chief. Meanwhile, the other faction that took the matter to the Judicial Committee has hinted of appealing against the decision of the Judicial Committee. So this morning, we picked intelligence yesterday that there is going to be installation of a priority chief or a new chief this morning. So the people raised the alarm that they were going to resist any attempt to install a new chief, aside the one who was installed 3 years ago. So I'm told this dawn, the youth of the town mounted a barricade at the entrance of the town. They wanted to prevent any group from coming to the town to do a new installation. But at around 6:15 thereabouts, the group allegedly led by one Oforipenyo Oforiata, who I'm told is a national security, led some macho men with arms. So they entered the town, started firing gunshots. Allegedly, they abused some old men and women who were standing by, and then also entered into some school to cause mayhem. They went to the palace to cause some distraction there, and then also the information center in the town, they disconnected the broadcasting wire, so the information center couldn't broadcast it. So, I mean, this is what happened there. There was an installation of a chief 3 years ago, and then also there is a counter. There has been a challenge. The installation of that chief is being challenged, and a new chief, a new person, one Nanayao, is being installed. So they came to the town this morning with the macho men, and then went to the palace, and then came back to the other side of the town. So this is the background of the case. But just as you heard, some of the residents alleging, they pointed fingers at some officials in government, and then they threatened that if the president don't act swiftly, they are going to also show him some power come 2020. They allege that the finance minister, Honorable Ken Oforiata, is fueling one Nanaya who want to be installed as a new chief at Akyem Apapem. So you rarely said they called on the president to be swift and then make sure that nobody take the peace for Akyem Apapem for granted.
Right, so what is the security situation in the town? We're told that the police were not deployed early enough. Are they on the ground, and have they been able to restore some calm?
Well, Israel, Akyem Apapem, there is no reception. If you are using MTN, there is no reception in the town. I left the town after 4 p.m., but I've been closely monitoring the situation. After the time of leaving Akyem Apapem, I didn't see a single police officer in the town. I didn't see any police patrol in the town. Maybe I'm told that the police, the people hinted the police of the incident. So as at 4 p.m. this evening, I didn't see any police officer or police patrol team. But if they have sent a dispatch to the town this evening, that one I cannot speak to it. But as I said, the residents are uncomfortable with the pushing of the police. They felt that the police could have acted swiftly to avert this kind of action that has led to the closure of the school. The school children had to run for their lives. They had to run for their lives when the gun started firing.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Maxwell Kudogo, bringing us up to speed with the situation there at Akyem Apapem in the Eastern region. Now, police at Kukrobite here in Accra say they've stepped up patrols at Oshie after violent attacks on some residents in the community. Joy News has learned of at least 2 incidents involving machetes and clubs in violence linked to a long-standing chieftaincy dispute. Maxwell Agbagba has been to the community and reports many of the residents are terrified they may fall victim.
The violence is the result of a feud between 2 rival factions in a chieftaincy dispute which is more than 2 decades old. One of the victims is 40-year-old Joseph Tete. Though his family is grateful he survived his wounds, they are afraid they may not be so lucky. Joseph narrates how the attackers chased him out of a church service.
Also, by 10 to 11.
I was at church around 10 to 11 a.m. We were about closing when I heard noise from outside. People screaming, "Where are they? Where are the men here?" They started chasing me.
Still, I'm
and jumped into a compound. I thought they would stop chasing me, but they still pursued me and jumped into the compound too. There, they started attacking me with machetes. But the machetes did not cut me, so they started using broken bottles. I became unconscious and fell. They took me to another compound and started beating me all over again. I fell for a second time. There, I lost consciousness again.
I'm calling protocol telling I'm a chile bini la abone yin polemi abone nigbeji no legime na no.
He tells Joy News he would have died had he not fortified himself spiritually. The catalyst was not able to cut me because I've spiritually fortified myself. It was the broken bottles that made me sustain these wounds. Joseph explains, as a close relative of one of the claimants to the stool, he has become a prime target by hirelings of one of the factions. There have, however, been other victims who are not related to any of the factions. This, the residents say, means no one is safe. Patrick Akochu sustained machete wounds on his head and hands after he was attacked in a shop.
I saw a guy coming to me holding cutlass. The guy did not ask me anything, and I did not tell the guy anything. The guy started using the cutlass on me. Cut my head, cut my hand. After that, the guy went away.
Another resident is calling for government's intervention.
Very bad, very, very bad. I'm scared because you know nothing, you'll be there, no, you see people holding cutlass, gun, they say, so you have to be scared. So now we need the government to come and help us so that all that we need is peace. We want peace.
I'm currently here at the Kokrobite District Police Headquarters. Police officers here would not go on record with any information, but one of them I've been speaking to in an off-record conversation tells me that the chieftaincy dispute here has spanned for over 2 decades. He tells me that he's currently dealing with a similar case in one of the courts, and that has to do with some routes that erupted here in March between the two feuding factions. Right now, some officials from the Bureau of National Investigations are also here on a similar mission to find out exactly what happened on Sunday.
Watching Johnny's Prime, we're taking a break, but still to come in the bulletin, President Akufo-Addo swearing new Chief Justice to fire Akufo and charges her to work on redeeming the image of the judiciary. We have all that and more coming up. Please stay tuned. After a battered image following the expose on judicial corruption by investigative journalist Anas Arome Anas nearly 2 years ago, President Akufo-Addo stole the new Chief Justice. He expects her to clean the system and restore the image of the service. So far, Bene Wafwe Akufu took office on Monday as the 13th Chief Justice of Ghana after serving on the Supreme Court for over 2 decades. At a swearing-in ceremony at the State House, the President described her as the leading light of the court and expressed the hope the new CJ will lead a new administration of honest judges who possess integrity and have a sound knowledge of the law.
To her colleagues on the bench and to members of the bar, I urge your continued solidarity and cooperation with the new Chief Justice to promote the rule of law. That will be in line with the finest traditions of the bench and the bar and will help advance the welfare of our people. We are determined to build a new Ghanaian civilization where the rule of law is not a slogan, but an operating principle for the development of our state, where the separation of powers is real and meaningful, where public officials behave with honesty and integrity, where the liberties and rights of our people are fully protected, and where law and order provide a firm basis for our social and economic development.
Recounting the political disturbances at Savelugu Nantong in the northern region last week, at which some MPP activists prevented the newly approved municipal chief executive from working, President Akufo-Addo condemned all such acts and vowed not to shield anyone if found culpable.
I use this occasion to assure the country that my government will not shield anyone found to have broken the laws of this country. Application of the laws of the land must occur, in the words of the judicial oath, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, and therefore without recourse to the political, religious, or ethnic affiliations of any citizen of the land. When you fall foul of the law, you must be dealt with accordingly, and the law enforcement agencies, including the judiciary, must ensure this is done. To persons perpetrating acts of lawlessness in the name of being members of the ruling party, let me make it clear to you that you will find no shield in my government from the law. Recent disturbances in Savelugu, for example, where allegedly a handful of party executives and youth are trying to prevent the municipal chief executive, who has been duly appointed with the requisite approval of the municipal assembly, from working, are obviously unacceptable. I urge the police to do everything in their power to bring to book all those who fall foul of the law. We cannot have development which will bring jobs to our youth without order. With the Office of the Special Prosecutor in the offing to ensure the prosecution of public officials, past and present, who engage in acts of corruption and financial malfeasance, it is my expectation that the judiciary will help facilitate the work of this body.
The new Chief Justice of Akufo, on their part, pledged to ensure quality justice delivery in the country, but also vowed to ensure total financial independence of the judiciary.
The judiciary is indeed the bulwark of our democracy and the defender of the rule of law. A nation breaks down and descends into anarchy if its judicial system breaks down, and I will pursue measures to protect the integrity of the institution, shore up and elevate its image. In doing this, I will be counting on the support and cooperation of the other arms of government, which are headed by Your Excellency, Mr. President, and the Right Honorable Speaker. The judiciary has diligently worked for and obtained a large measure of independence. This is, however, made incomplete by the lack of financial independence, and that is an objective I would like to achieve during my tenure as Chief Justice.
Presidential correspondent Elton Brobe spoke with Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu, the 2016 flag bearer of the PNC, Dr. Edward Mahama, and others about the expectations of the new CJ.
Quite confident. You know that her integrity is actually intact. She's quite knowledgeable as well. And so definitely, I think all of us, we have confidence in her that she's going to deliver. You know, she mentioned that one of the things that she'll be pursuing is the financial independence of the judiciary, which I think is quite important.
Well, I think one thing you can tell from since the president took office, he's a lawyer, and he believes that the law and the rule of law, he believes in them. And I'm happy that he continues to hammer on that. What I'm hoping for is that all political operatives will take cue from what the president is saying and make sure that our followers understand that we are one nation.
I have confidence of her capacity to excel. She has a long record of commitment and service in the various capacities in which she's been involved. So I believe that apart from her leadership qualities, her predecessor, Georgina Wood, has already begun the steps to redeem the very tarnished image to which the president referred. And we believe, as time goes on, we'll see clear results.
Today is just her first day possibly in office, or maybe she will start tomorrow. But I think that she's indicated her resolve to ensure quality of justice. She's also ensured that she will bring integrity to the judiciary. There's not much to say than to say that we wait to see her implementation or manifestation of what she has said today. The president has also given the green light to the security agencies to go out there and fish out anybody who, in the name of the ruling party, goes out there to violate or to inhibit the law. And I think that is the way to go, so that citizens don't take the law for granted.
Even in contributing to the approval of the motion, I made a strong case for increased budget for the judiciary, because the regular cuts since 1993 have not helped the cause of justice and the delivery of justice. The Constitution provides that they shall present it to the President, and the President shall make a determination and send it to Parliament. But consistently, every President have had to reduce the request of the judiciary. So you see across the country, very dilapidated cost structures. The administration of justice suffer. I know that the former Chief Justice made a strong case for 30% retention of their IGF, which was approved by the President Mahama Cabinet. And then I recall working with the Judicial Council to encourage them to bring a CI to Parliament on the conditions of service for members of the judiciary, and in particular to make a clear distinction between Article 71 office holders, judicial and non-judicial officers. Understand that in the offing.
I think after the Anas Amiyao issue, the judiciary has moved on, especially with the reforms that were introduced by the former Chief Justice. The new one has assured that she will continue from where the old Chief Justice left off. And with the assurances that have been given by the President, I think that all that it takes for the judiciary to work and work effectively will be placed at their disposal. They will be made to be independent if they
Meanwhile, MPs are urging the newly sworn-in Chief Justice Ofer Kufu to work at ensuring a speedy dispensation of justice in the country's courts. They are concerned about the slow-paced nature of justice delivery, with some cases taking up to 20 years before eventually being resolved. The MP spoke on Monday as the House approved the nomination of Madame Kufu as the 13th Chief Justice.
Every citizen should play an active role in its enforcement, so that there will never again be in this country a conspiracy of silence that results in the emasculation of the citizenry and the destruction of constitutionalism. Mr. Speaker, I support the motion and also congratulate the CJ nominee and pray that she goes to change the dwindling fortunes and perceptions at the judiciary. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
On social legislation, it is my expectation and my hope that she is going to push the frontiers of social legislation and the human rights regime in this country through the kind of actions and judgments that we take in the court. The judgment that we call should reflect issues of social vulnerability and also issues of gender equality. We have had instances in Ghana where our courts have pushed for gender issues, especially in the distribution of property on the dissolution of marriage. The Supreme Court has helped to push this further, push this action. And it is my hope and expectation that being at the helm of affairs, she will push the envelope of social legislation.
The other issue has to do with alternative ADR, alternative dispute resolution. Now we all know that it helps in justice delivery in the country. I wish she will make sure, or she will take the bold step to make sure that most cases that comes to court will go through the alternative dispute resolution than the normal judicial process.
Watching Joy News Prime, we're taking a break, after which we'll bring you business news. But still to come in the bulletin, committee tasked to investigate reasons for the heavy defeat of the opposition National Democratic Congress in the 2016 elections makes recommendations in its report, suggesting, among others, the party lost touch with its base.
We believe and also do recommend that steps ought to be taken to strengthen research and intelligence in the party.
Stay tuned, we'll be back with more.
Hello, good evening. Time now for some business stories. And 50 companies under the Association of Ghana Industries have been selected to be screened by government to qualify for the promised stimulus package to industries. After the screening exercise, 30 of them at various levels of financial distress will be supported under the 4 different financial packages. Government, as part of its industrialization agenda, promised to resuscitate distressed companies by offering a stimulus package, which was announced under the 2017 budget. Joy Business has been speaking with a member of the technical support group of the assessment team.
The first level of the job of the TSG, which is technical support group for the ministry, is to, in alignment or in consultation with what we call it, Ghana Association of Industries. They have gone through and pre-selected about 287, and out of that, they used a toolkit to select 50. And out of the 50, our duty is to evaluate the information available, to confirm the reality, to be able to check whether if the fund is given, it will be sustainable, they can pay the debt, and they can re-employ the people and embark on exports. So that's exactly what we are trying to do to help the government.
So exactly what are you here today to find?
Slade is one of the companies who look quite distressed and illiquid because of the difficulties of exchange rates and borrowing, short-term borrowing from other banks. So once it's been selected, we need to sit down with the management, look at the figures given, cross-check against their production levels and see whether if they have that size of money coming into the company, the impact it will have in its operations, outputs, and income, and ability to service the loan, and then begin to be sustainable. So we are just here to look at a few things and discuss with them and to clarify and also verify the figures for ourselves.
Okay, so how soon after this your exercise is it likely for companies to get some relief?
From the ministry's point of view, I think the government has decided the first phase of the stimulus should take off by September ending. So we have a very short time between now and September to make sure about 30 of the 50 companies take off.
Exactly how much amounts are we looking at when it comes to?
It varies. In fact, it varies, and there are four options of it. It can be direct debt on lending through banks, semi-equity or equity, and a kind of hybrid, which will be like guaranteed to support it get done. So we need to look at each other's needs and then evaluate with the management and help them to understand which of the financing needs will be more appropriate for them.
Now, some Ghanaian engineers are proposing a recycling of water in the Konsombo Dam water to ensure uninterrupted power generation, cheaper and sustainable energy supply to industries and domestic use remain a challenge for the country. Experts are, however, convinced the Konsombo Dam can return to full operation on all 6 turbines instead of the 2 currently in use if the suggestion receives attention. Prince Akyem has more in this report.
The 35-year-old fashion designer has been sewing for 10 years. Unstable power supply is one of his challenges.
My name is Akyem. I'm the director of Perfect Fit Fashion Designer. And when the light go off, I'm worried because without light, I lose a lot of customers and I lose money too. Because when the client comes, the clothes are not ready, they will not happy and I lose their money. Yesterday, the light go off. From 7 going, the light go off. I waited, the light didn't come. So I left. Today, I even thought that the light would go off. But I'm pleading that the government should do something about the lights. I'm willing to pay so that my job can go on.
Stable power supply means reliable electricity for people like Kofi Champong and other consumers of electricity in the country. Very critical to enhance their productivity and be efficient in the work they do. A radical idea of recycling water from downstream of the Konsombo Dam is being proposed. Engineer and chief executive of Kwan's estate, Kofi Anoche, is spearheading the campaign.
As a developing country, you need to measure the average income of the Ghanaian, ordinary Ghanaians. You realize that giving him a bill around 200-300 Ghana cedis takes a huge toll out of his income. And for that matter, I think that we need to think outside the box as engineers, and that's exactly what we are trying to do.
The technology, which experts say will guarantee cheap and sustainable power generation from wastewater, is used in China and other countries. Mr. Anoche has been sharing and courting support for the model at a forum in Kumasi with colleagues of the Ghana Institution of Engineers.
Is the water going somewhere? Okay, if you can call it waste for now, because it's supposed to go into the sea after the pond dam, which becomes waste, of course, because immediately the water enters the sea, it turns into salt. So we are saying that getting the water behind the dam again, that is the whole concept, and that is the crusade we are mounting. And we are saying that that idea can be replicated across the length and breadth of this country, so far as where the streams and other small rivers are.
Ashanti Regional Chairman, Professor Osei Owusu-Echau, is convinced the proposed power generation method will achieve good results.
You see, we generate power from the potential energy of water that is held somewhere up there. Now, if there's a way you can move the water from downstream up there, then you can use the water again. So there's no ambiguity about the science of it. The technology of it and the economics of it is another thing. As for the science, there's no problem at all with it. It is very workable.
Mr. Nochi believes the Konsombo Dam will operate at full capacity if government embraces water recycling.
If you're not going to produce carbon, if you're not going to pollute the environment, how are you going to generate electricity? It's only hydro. Or the renewable energies you need to, that if you're talking about solar, you need to get your batteries ready and be ready to change the maximum 1 year, 6 months. You have to change your batteries, and that is a huge cost. So the only way out, I can say for now, is hydro.
The back and forth of Ghana's energy security, from hydro to thermal, back to hydro, and now solar. Of course, it needs a closure for a consistent energy supply in the country. Prince Akyem reporting.
Now, lead managers for the 10 billion cedi energy bond have been asked to complete the fundraising exercise within 2 months. This is what Joy Business has picked up from sources close to government. George Rafe has more on the expected challenges the bond managers would face in raising the funds.
According to a statement issued by the Finance Ministry, Standard Chartered Bank and Fidelity Bank have been chosen to lead the process of raising the funds. Sources say the plan now is to raise the 10 billion cedis within 8 weeks. This should mean that depending on the connections of the joint lead managers, the process could even be completed within 1 month. But for many, some of the issues that the managers would have to deal with is at what cost should the state pay as interest on this bond after paying almost 19% on a similar long-term bond, and whether there will indeed be high investor interest in this auction. According to these analysts, the recent rate hike by the U.S. Federal Reserve could mean that government may have to offer investors higher returns to secure their funds. Also, the recent debate on the $2.5 billion bond could also have an impact on this exercise. The persons close to government insist measures instituted to stabilize the economy will ensure that is the expected amount. Proceeds from the bond will be used to refinance debt-owed banks as well as bulk oil distributors, a development that could go a long way to reduce the cost of credit in the country.
That's all we have for you by way of business tonight. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. Good evening.
4 months probing for answers many said were glaring. The Professor Kwesi Botche Committee has presented its report on what caused the National Democratic Congress's humiliating defeats in last year's presidential and parliamentary elections. At a news conference at the party's here in Accra, the committee would not disclose the reasons for the loss, but made recommendations suggesting the NDC's 2016 campaign lacked capacity and suffered from a weak intellectual. Disappointed grassroots, the committee is recommending a peacemaking and healing tour to beg and reconnect with its support base. Joseph Akyem has more.
The 455-page document is a summary of the views of members across the country on what they think accounted for the NDC's defeat and how to rebuild the party. The views expressed were then analyzed by the 13-member committee with recommendations made. Chairman of the committee, Professor Kwesi Botche, described as satisfactory the engagement with members.
We clustered all the constituencies and bussed or transported a sampling of members, executives, senior people in each constituency to a common venue where we gave them a full hearing, invited them to make comments and air their views. And I'm gratified to say that they did. We put them on notice that their views will be recorded for purposes of record keeping. And I'm happy to say that they did speak freely, openly, and frankly. So we assembled all these views throughout the country.
The committee, among other things, is recommending a team of eminent personalities to engage party faithful to settle their differences, cleaning of the party's electoral roll, as well as setting up an effective election monitoring system.
We also believe that steps ought to be taken by the party to reconnect itself properly to our social democratic roots and the principal actors in these social democratic roots. We believe and also do recommend that steps ought to be taken to strengthen research and intelligence in the party. Finally, we have recommendations that hopefully should guide the party in scaling up and reinvigorating its work in the area of youth mobilization, and finally, the organization of women. We note that significant changes have taken place in the country's demographic profile, and that the party ought to take note of it with all the implications of these changes in our demography, as well as trends in urban.
Speaking on behalf of the party, General Secretary Johnson Esiedu Nketia expressed the party's willingness to commence implementation.
Committee was put together by the National Executive Committee. We've received the report on behalf of NEC. We are going to proceed to analyze it right from tomorrow. So we'd like to call upon the committee to maybe give us a subcommittee of 1 or 2 members who will be leading the discussions at the Functional Executive Committee level tomorrow. Then, after tomorrow's FEC meeting, there will be a National Executive Committee meeting on Wednesday, at which the report will be tabled for review, and then we look at the recommendations and begin work immediately.
Leaders of the party are expected to meet on Tuesday and Wednesday to commence deliberations on the report.
The New Patriotic Party is asking foot soldiers of the party to continue to exercise patience as government works on opening more job avenues and opportunities to ensure their sweats will not be in vain. Speaking at the Thanksgiving service for members of Parliament and other people the government has appointed from the Central Region, the regional minister urged the party faithful to bear with government as it rolls out policies and programs to cater for all categories of persons. Richard Kojunako was at the service and has filed this report.
The Thanksgiving service held at the Regional Coordinating Council was to give thanks to God for the victory chalked in the elections. The party asked for God's guidance and direction in the affairs of the NPP administration to help shape the fortunes of the people of the Central Region through them. Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Maafo, who graced the occasion, urged the appointees to do their best to turn things around for the people of the Central Region. Speaking after the ceremony, the Central Regional Minister Kwame Nadankan appealed to party supporters to exercise restraint as government works on opening more opportunities for them. According to him, there is no need for the party faithful to worry as government has shown enough commitment to address their concerns.
It is to be expected when the victory is here and when they did not rest on their oars, when indeed they were in the trenches, when indeed they were in the nooks and crannies, the villages, the hamlets, and here victory has been delivered to them. You would naturally expect them to take part in the sport of victory, but they are very understanding as well. They know that for governors, it will not take 3 months, 4 months, but that for the effect of government policies to begin to register, it may be even the second year. And already this government, the Nado's government, has lined up a series of programs, out of which the benefits will be there, not for our food soldiers alone, but for all Ghanaians. Already in this year alone, in the budget has been captured that as many as 80,000 youth will be employed under the Youth Employment Agency. And as we are already talking, just 2 days ago, that the Police High Command launched a program where they are going to employ as many as 36,000. And there are other modules. Not only that, we have planting for food and jobs. That already has created jobs for those who are already in farming. And as the policy gets completely rolled out, there will be several thousands of jobs that will be created, not only for our food soldiers, but for all Ghanaian youth.
Richard Kojunako, Joy News, Cape Coast.
Businessman Alfred Agbesiwoyome is to appear before the Supreme Court on June 29 to be orally examined by state attorneys trying to retrieve from him monies owed the state. The appearance is in connection with a 3-year-old Supreme Court order for the businessman to refund 51.2 million cedis paid him as judgment debt, of which he so far paid only 4 million cedis. There is more in this report.
This will not be the first time such an action has been brought against the businessman. A similar action initiated by Chief State Attorney Dorothy Free-Ansah in 2016 was granted, but the state pulled out after receiving assurances that a debt will be settled. A former Attorney General Martin Amid, who had been pursuing the case the entire time, was however unconvinced and secured the court's approval to orally examine him, only for him to pull out, claiming the new MPP government had demonstrated enough commitment to retrieve the money. The businessman will on June 29 be required to tell the court whether he owns any properties sufficient for satisfying the debt. He has to also tell the court whether he has means of satisfying the debt. Mr. Woyome will be further required to explain how he utilized the 51.2 million cedis paid him by the state. It may not be the first time such an action has been brought against Mr. Woyome, but it will be the first under a non-NDC administration, a party is said to have supported financially, and for which reason it was accused of lacking the political will to retrieve the amount.
Now, on Tuesday, January 6, Ghana recorded one of its worst school disasters. 6 children, aged between 3 and 6, were killed in cold blood and several others injured when a school wall collapsed on pupils in the central region town of Bremanjamra. There was widespread outrage and a nationwide audit on school infrastructure was promised. 4 months on, what has changed in the school? Justice Beidou has been back in the community and reported, unfortunately, in terms of school safety, it is almost as if the January 6 tragedy never happened.
From the outside, this looks like a normal school class, but deep within, all is not well. In January this year, when a fallen school wall killed 6 children, these pupils were the first witnesses. 4 months on, the memories linger on their minds. Among the dead, Christiana Annan, 6 years, described by her mother as her heartbeat. Esther Mensah, also 6, who wanted to be a nurse. Hilbatu Abdullah, 5 years, who dreamed to be a nurse too. Shahida Abdullah, 5 years, whose family described as a lover of books, who loved reading anything and everything. And Juliana Ayensu, 6 years, who just loved cooking. This is the structure where in February 6 children were killed when a wall fell down. Fast forward 4 months on, and this structure is what we are talking about. This is a structure that I'm told is over 50 years old. And this is where children have now been moved to study. What I've been told is that this structure is actually more dangerous than the one that killed over 6 innocent children.
This class, when we look at how it is, when we are learning, we don't feel comfortable. We are afraid this will collapse. So when teachers are teaching us, we don't concentrate on the learning.
Sometimes I feel that I will not come to school because when you come to school, you cannot concentrate it. The nature of this building is even larger than the one that collapsed on the children.
Looking at the clocks in this building, you can see now, the KG block that collapsed, it was even the clock that was in it was very, very light. But this one, if you look at it, the children, they knew the state of the KGG block, and when they see this one, they will be bold to tell me, they say, in fact, the classroom that we are, everybody is alert to hear, then we all run away. So it is not what the teachers are teaching that we listen to. Everybody is alert that the building will collapse. So if KG block had been collapsed, then definitely this one too, the probability of this one to collapse is higher.
Back in the Bremanjamra town, life is back to normal, or so it seems. But the event of the biggest disaster that this town has ever seen still weighs heavy on the minds of many. This woman had 2 children sustain serious injuries. I first met her here in the wake of the disaster when I visited.
This year, I said, me and we free education for one. I didn't know me. You be a me wo be a me to me day time be a me never hospital 17. Me and if me drink a crankra. Nti wa no compre. Bemba ni se won nim na so ne nkwala nkura e agro na se omo de wansa kan iti se ya na ni hunim efi.
While on this follow-up visit, I've seen more than 5 different schools in the same district as Bremanjamra, which are in even worse conditions than the one that collapsed. School structures that are in death trap conditions are not in Esikuma or Dobin Brakwa district alone. They are widespread nationwide. The 6 children killed in January shocked the nation. But that disaster, it seems, did very little to change the situation. It leaves you wondering what else will. Justice Beidou, Joy News, Breman Jamra.
Well, speaking earlier on the polls, Deputy Chief Executive of Sukuma Odobin Brakwa, Isaac Odum, says construction of a new structure financed by the District Assembly Common Fund has stalled because the money has dried up.
Now, I was taken to the site to look at the situation, and I realized that new buildings have been started. Now, this has been the plan of the district assembly to initiate some projects. Now, we don't have enough funds to actually build a house. I've talked to the education director on it, and it seems the education minister, together with the coordinating director then, promised to actually take the matter up, and nothing is forthcoming. So the district assembly has actually taken up it upon itself to get some contractors on site. So they are actually working to actually avert the situation. We've contacted the contractor to come on site. So the contractor will be on site possibly within the week. It's not true that the buildings that they are studying in now are worse than those that collapsed.
A high-powered government delegation led by Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mamadou Bawumia will leave Ghana Monday night to China for a week-long visit aimed at strengthening bilateral relations between the two countries and also explore the possibilities of expanding business and creating jobs. The delegation is also expected to meet the Executive Vice President of the China Development Bank and Chinese businesses operating in Ghana to initiate moves to sanitize the business environment. The visit comes on the back of a government clampdown on illegal mining, which the Chinese have been accused of being heavily involved. Latif Idris has more.
The delegation, according to the information minister, would include a senior minister, ministers of trade and industry, transport, and other key sectors.
We all know that China has intervened in a lot of our development projects over the years, and trade between Ghana and China has ballooned, from about $100 million around the year 2000 to about 5.9, almost $6 billion as we speak. We also know that China has become an important trading destination for Ghanaian businesses.
And what's the prospect of this visit? I mean, talking about the jobs we expect to be created from, because we have the trade minister also joining the delegation, the prospect of this visit vis-a-vis job creation.
The fact that the coordinator of the One District, One Factory project, the Minister for Trade is going and so on, should tell you that, of course, expanding industry, creating jobs is indeed at the heart of this program.
With some Chinese nationals implicated in illegal mining in parts of the country, it is expected that the subject will be top on the agenda. The information minister, however, says Galamsey will not be one of the subjects for discussion in China.
The fight against Galamsey is not a fight against Chinese citizens. It's a fight to protect our environment and secure our future. And there are many, many other nationalities who are involved in this Galamsey thing: Ukrainians, Russians, Canadians, etc., etc. So, but we have relations with Canada, we have relations with Russia, we have relations with Ukraine, and we look to strengthening those relationships, irrespective of the infractions of their citizens on our laws.
The delegation is expected to leave Ghana Monday night.
Judges is learning the controversial towing levy expected to take effect from July 1 this year has been suspended. The fee, set to range between 10 and 200 cedis, has been heavily criticized by many who describe it as another opportunity to needlessly tax the public. Deputy Transport Minister Titus Glover said the National Road Safety Commission has been directed to suspend the policy. And meanwhile, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osewusu, has mounted a spirited defense of the law that allows for the mandatory charging of towing fees expected to take effect from July 1. The fee, set to range between 10 and 100 cedis, has been heavily criticized by many who describe it as another opportunity to needlessly tax the public. The first Deputy Speaker, however, says those criticizing the legislation are looking at the issue from a parochial point of view, insisting it is aimed at saving lives.
Removing danger from the road. Anytime there's a disabled vehicle on the road, there's a risk to the life of every road user. So, if we don't focus on removing risk to the road, and we focus on how much will it cost, who is doing the work, we'll be missing the problem.
That has actually been the main argument, that those causing some of these incidents on the road should be the ones to bear the cost and not exactly make that the responsibility of anyone else, because then the thinking is that the vehicle can be towed and these people can be surcharged for it rather than charging everyone else.
Okay, yes. It's my vehicle that has broken down. At the time the vehicle has broken down, I don't have money. And it will genuinely happen to many people. So if you leave it to them, the vehicles will not be towed, the disabled vehicles will not be towed, and you and I, other road users, our lives will be in danger. If I recall correctly, in 2011, every stakeholder was involved. All the driver unions in Kofrodia. That's where we finalized the document. Sometimes we are just parochial. We look at we discuss the issues only from one side. What we're discussing is not your vehicle, it's the risk to road users. The problem is not the saloon cars or the 207s. They can even be pushed off the road. The problem is the heavily laden vehicles. I don't care who, as long as the person has the capacity. I know the name Zoom Lion evokes memories which are not pleasant. So it is likely to evoke emotions. But beyond that, if it is you who have the capacity to remove the vehicle from there, just join in and do it.
That's it for the bulletin. My name is Israel. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good night.
This is Joy News Prime.